This is the history of the Ernest M. and Mabel P. Skinner family. Here's the story of Nephi Aaron Skinner. Chapter 4, pages 22 to 31, Faith-Promoting Incidents. Faith-Promoting Incidents. In addition to Nephi's faith-promoting experiences referred to previously, the following are worthy of note. Nephi was getting ready in the fall to go east with the lambs on a freight train to market. A day or two before leaving, he was in Montpelier, and for some reason the dog that belonged to Montpelier banker G.C. Grover Churchill Gray bit Nephi in the arm. The danger of the dog having rabies was suspected, and the doctor quickly ordered the dog killed. Pathological tests were immediately sent out to a laboratory for determination. The test was positive, and it was necessary for Nephi to give himself shots to counteract the rabies from the dog bite as he traveled with the lambs to market at Omaha, Nebraska, in the caboose of a train. Through the shots, as well as faith and prayers of the priesthood and his family, rabies did not develop. At one time, one of the Mitnick girls fell to the floor at a party as if she were dead. Nephi was summoned. He came over, gave her a priesthood blessing. She quickly got well and grew to maturity and raised a family. During one of the winters that Nephi fed sheep in the Ovid area, his wife and children lived in Paris, so the children could attend school. His wife suddenly took ill one night and experienced suffering as never before witnessed. He quickly decided to take her to Logan for medical help. The trip through Logan Canyon, then a dirt road, in the middle of the night, trying to hurry with a very sick wife was very frustrating. Upon arrival at the hospital, it was discovered that she had a ruptured appendix. The seriousness of it all was compounded by the indecision of the doctors as to what to do. They finally performed surgery. The priesthood, prayers, faith, and hope were all exercised. Her life was not given much hope. After a long period of intensive care, she recovered. The faith and prayers of Nephi and his family were answered. On another occasion, Nephi's son Lester had surgery in Soda Springs for removal of his tonsils. During recovery, and seemingly unknown to the nurses and doctors, profuse internal bleeding occurred. By the time it was discovered, Lester had almost bled to death. Again, the power of the priesthood, faith, and prayer led by Nephi caused an immediate change in Lester's medical condition and resulted in his quick recovery. Nephi went to the temple regularly, but he left the genealogical research to his wife, who was an avid researcher. Through her efforts, thousands of names were filed in the temple for baptisms. It was a common thing for him to take his wife and younger children to Logan and to go on to Providence to visit his eldest brother Hiram, who spent his declining years going to the temple. Many times, Nephi's visits to see Hiram included a session in the temple. While on his mission in England and serving in the Liverpool Conference, Nephi took occasion to do some checking on families of both his father and mother who were from England. During the Christmas week of 1905, he traveled to South Moulton and stayed with his mother's sister, Aunt Elizabeth Smith Babcock. The few days Nephi stayed there, he visited the old home with a thatched roof where his mother lived as a child. He visited cemeteries and parishes and found where his grandfather Smith was buried. Some of his travel was done by horseback, and he indicated it was a real thrill to ride and see all the beautiful farm country in the area. Nephi also found many headstones with the name Skinner on them. In a letter sent to his mother, February 13, 1906, he reported names of relatives found there and indicated he would need 3 or 4 months to do the looking and researching for family names. He suggested he should have more information on the families than he had, and that he should make another trip over there in 5 or 6 years to do the research that needed to be done. Nephi was a handsome young man and enjoyed meeting people and socializing. He was popular with the ladies, and with his musical talents, he entertained a great deal and was very fond of dancing, whether it was square or round. The manner in which he became acquainted with his bride was unique. While he was attending school in Salt Lake City in 1893 to 1894, Etta Mae Morgan, Noonan's young school teacher, boarded with his parents. As a favor for his parents, Etta Mae wrote letters for them to their son, who was in Salt Lake. She wrote every week for John and Jane, but never revealed her name. Her autobiography stated, quote, "On the last day of school in the spring, she wrote her last letter for them and added a postscript saying, 'Goodbye, Mr. Skinner. I'm leaving for home today.'" Nephi must have learned a little about her when he came home from school that summer. Seemingly, there was no opportunity for a formal introduction at that time. The next few years, she went to school and taught at Georgetown, while he continued his schooling in Salt Lake. There seems to be good evidence, however, that they became acquainted, and soon Nephi was driving a two-wheel cart through the Narrows and across the river up to the Johnson home in Georgetown to see Etta Mae. William Johnson reported this to Earnest in July 1963. When the 1897-1898 school year began, Etta Mae Morgan chose to teach in Newnan again because they paid her more money. She boarded with Nephi's parents again, but under far different circumstances. Nephi was home helping his father, whose health was declining. Their acquaintance grew into more of a casual friendship. This winter gave them an opportunity to get well acquainted through dating and courting, as well as seeing each other at the Skinner home. By the time school was out, their friendship had blossomed into a devoted love and understanding for each other, and their dream of marriage was determined. Nephi and Etta Mae were married on June 8, 1898 in the Logan Temple by Elder Mariner W. Merrill of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles. She had chosen a very popular and handsome young man who was devoted to her in every way. He had proven to her he was a gentleman, and that he had been raised in such a way that his priorities complemented hers. The gospel was the most important thing in their lives, which meant sacrifices, service, and rearing a family to honor their name. He had chosen a very popular and beautiful young lady who gave of her love and devotion to him in all dimensions. She had given evidence to him of her love for service as she wrote to him for his parents. She demonstrated her willingness to work and make a living and her ability to sacrifice for the gospel, evidenced by her leaving her family in Georgia at 12 years of age to come to Bear Lake to work for Emmeline Grover, one of the wives of Charles C. Rich, a member of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles. Nephi and Etta Mae found they had so much in common. His folks had come from England for the gospel, and she was the first of her family to come from Georgia for the gospel. Later, she was joined by her mother, sister, and two brothers as a result of the gospel. He saw in her a distinguished Southern lady who had been raised with high moral standards and ideals. She recognized in him a true servant of the Lord, and had found in his parents people who loved the Spirit of the Lord and were self-sacrificing, true, genuine, sincere, hard-working, God-fearing people. This is how they were both raised, and they joined together to teach these attributes to their children. There was great rejoicing when Nephi and Etta Mae's eldest son was born May 21, 1899, in Newnan, Idaho. He was given the name Clausen Nephi by his father. As he grew in childhood, he was taught to help with the chores and was a real help while his father was on a mission. He attended elementary school in Newnan and high school at Fielding Academy in Paris. After 1 year at Utah Agricultural College in Logan, the U.S. entered World War I, and Clausen joined with his fellow classmates and enlisted in the Army April 14, 1917. He was assigned to the U.S. Army Signal Corps, Aviation Service, 69th Observation and Balloon Company at Fort Omaha, Nebraska for training. He was sent overseas to serve in France until his discharge as corporal on May 21, 1919. Clausen returned home and married Edna Bowen, 1898-1980, of Paris on July 7, 1919, at Brigham City, Box Elder, Utah. They were sealed in the Salt Lake Temple on October 24, 1919. To this union, 3 children were born: Baby Skinner, a son who died at birth, 1920, Earl Clausen, 1922, and Charlene Ruth, 1925 to 2016. Clausen was called to serve in the Southern States Mission and was set apart by Elder Orson F. Whitney on October 28, 1919. He departed October 29, 1919. After a year, he began experiencing asthma attacks, which were attributed to his having been gassed during his tenure in the Army. He was transferred to Ohio, but the climate didn't help, so he was released and returned home to recuperate August 30th, 1920. His wife Edna was called to serve with him in California, and they arrived in the mission field November 25th, 1920. They were released October 4th, 1921, and returned to Newnan, where he soon found the climate wasn't agreeable with his health. Clausen and Edna decided to return to Southern California, where he enrolled in the College of Dentistry at the University of Southern California at Los Angeles, USC. He graduated with high honors in 1926 and started a practice in Whittier, California. While attending USC, Clausen was called and ordained bishop of the Boyle Heights Ward of the Hollywood Stake August 19, 1923, at the age of 24, one of the youngest bishops in the church. Clausen became a very successful dentist and invented many patents. He taught at USC, where he graduated with the highest grade point average in history of the school, 98.6. He specialized in the field of prosthodontics and perfected many dental techniques that were accepted as tremendous advancements in the dental field. In 1936, his father and brother Earnest visited Clausen to have some dental work done. Nephi had a set of dentures that didn't fit, and Clausen made him a new set. Nothing much was said about whether Nephi liked them until next summer, when he wrote Clausen telling him the teeth were just fine. They had passed the test. He could use his teeth in castrating lambs like he used to with his own teeth. During the years of his practice, Clausen and Edna were divorced. Clausen married Frida Blair, 1922 to 2016, on October the 11th, 1946, at Las Vegas, Nevada. They had one child, Sherilyn Anita, 1948. Clausen Nephi died of congested heart failure on June 12, 1977, in Hollywood, California, and was interned at Rose Hill Memorial Park in Whittier. He was 78 years old. Nephi and Etta Mae's second son was born February 22, 1901, at Newnan, Idaho. He was named Carl by his father and grew to be a great help to the family with the farm while his father was on a mission. He attended elementary school in Newnan and attended high school at Fielding Academy in Paris, where he met Venus Mary Wallentyne of Paris. After a short courtship, they were married in Paris on February 25, 1918. He was 18 years old and she was 17. They were sealed in the Logan Temple December 3, 1924. Carl and Venus settled in Newnan, where he farmed with his father. In the fall of 1924, he and Venus accepted a mission call to serve in the Central States Mission with their two children, Wilson and Helen. They were set apart January 6, 1925, by Charles H. Hart, a member of the First Council of the 70, and they departed on January 7th. Carl and Venus served under President Samuel Otis Benyon, returning on December 26, 1926, from faithful missionary service. Upon their return, they continued farming in various ventures in Newnan, Preston, Idaho, Montana, and eventually back to Utah. Carl and Venus had 4 sons and 1 daughter. Carl Wilson, 1918 to 1958. Helen Venus, 1922 to 1953. Robert Dean, 1929 to 1931. Richard Wallentyne, 1939. And Ashley Nephi, 1944-1944. Carl died on October 22, 1965, at Hyde Park, Utah. He was buried in the Preston City Cemetery at Preston. He was 64. Venus died December 23, 1993, at Hyde Park, and was buried next to Carl on December 29, 1993, in the Preston City Cemetery. She was 93 years old. On March 30, 1903, Nephi and Etta's third child and first daughter was born at Newnan, Idaho. She was named Portia by her father. She learned to assist on the farm where she could for her age, while her father was on a mission. She attended elementary school in Newnan and high school at Fielding Academy in Paris. She excelled in music, especially voice and piano, and studied a year at the McCune School of Music in Salt Lake City. Portia met Louis William Budge of Paris, Idaho, while attending high school at Fielding Academy. After he returned from a mission to Australia, they were married September 21, 1923, in the Logan Temple at Logan, Utah. He studied dentistry at the University of Chicago and became an outstanding dentist in Ogden, Utah. They had 4 sons and 1 daughter: Ezra Lloyd, 1924 to 1976, Merrill Skinner, 1925 to 1970, Louis Earl, 1929 to 1939, Portia Marie, 1930 to 1988, and Brent William, 1947 to 2006. Louis William Budge died on June 28, 1954, at Montpelier and was buried in Alturas Memorial Park in Ogden. He was 56 years old. Portia died on August 6, 1990, at Ogden and was buried next to Louis William and other family members at Alturas Memorial Park. She was 87. A 4th child and 3rd son were born to Nephi and Etta Mae on February 23, 1905, at Newnan, Idaho. He was named Ralph Morgan by his father. He was 11 weeks old when Nephi left for his mission. He attended elementary school in Newnan and high school at Fielding Academy in Paris. He was called on a mission to New Zealand and was set apart by Apostle Melvin J. Ballard on December 28, 1923, and departed for Auckland on December 29th. While on his mission in New Zealand, Ralph suffered from boils on his leg and had to have the boils opened and scraped out. As a result, he spent 3 months recuperating at the mission home in Auckland. The leg bothered him for the rest of his life. In those days, missions were served for 3 years without purse or script. Ralph returned March 7, 1927, with a deep love for the Maori people and proficiency in speaking their language. Upon his return, Etta May arranged a meeting between Ralph and Opal B., the daughter of Georgetown Ward Bishop John Moxley B. They had known each other prior to Ralph's mission call. Ralph and Opal were soon engaged and were married in the Logan Temple June 29, 1927. Nephi arranged for him to acquire the farm at Novine, Idaho. Because of severe frost each year, Ralph turned the farm back to Nephi and moved to Groveland, Idaho, near Blackfoot, where he continued to farm. After some time there, he moved his family to Georgetown and later relocated to Smithfield, Utah. Ralph was a skilled welder and very mechanically inclined. He could repair most anything. Ralph and Opal had 7 sons and 3 daughters. Cleo, 1928. Ralph Gordon, 1929 to 1999. Dawn, 1931. Dorleen, 1932. Dale, 1934. Gail, 1934 to 1973. Betty, 1937 to 2014. Gary, 1938 to 1974. Dennis, 1944 to 2002. And Randall Lee, 1948 to 1975. After suffering a heart attack and severe depression, Ralph died on January 16, 1959 at Brigham City, Utah, and was buried in the Brigham City Cemetery. He was 54 years old. Opal passed away peacefully on January 9, 2004 at Brigham City and was buried next to Ralph in the Brigham City Cemetery. She was 94. Ralph and Etta May's 5th child and 4th son was born December 10, 1908 at Newnan, Idaho. He was named Halvor Morgan by his father and grew up on the family farm learning responsibility. He attended elementary school at Newnan and high school at Fielding Academy. Halvor was called on a mission to Stratford, Ontario, Canada. He was set apart by Apostle James E. Talmage on February 21, 1928. Upon his return, on March 19, 1930, he began his higher education at Utah State Agricultural College in Logan, where he majored in agricultural science and engineering. While attending college, Halvor met and married Violet Marie Steffenhagen on August 5, 1931, in the Logan Temple in Logan, Utah. After completing 2 degrees at USAC, Halvor became a renowned educator teaching Bear River High School in Tremont, Utah. He helped develop the Future Farmers of America and was a professor of mechanical engineering at Montana State in Bozeman, Montana. While a faculty member in 1952, he took his family on a 2-year assignment to India under the auspice of the Point 4 program, where he invented a care plow and helped develop a winnowing machine. As a faculty member in 1961, he took his wife and 2 daughters, Catherine and Rhonda, on another 2-year assignment to South America, where he helped establish a College of Agriculture at the University of Paraguay in Asunción. He retired in 1972 and built a home in North Logan. Halvor and Violet had 3 daughters and 2 sons, Janine, 1932, Colin, 1935, Roger, 1939, Catherine, 1943, and Rhonda, 1954 to 1983. Violet Marie passed away on August 12, 1985, at North Logan, Utah, and was buried in the Logan City Cemetery. She was 74 years old. Halvor Morgan married Violet's sister, Phyllis Laverne Steffenhagen, in Logan on October 15, 1985. She died May 20, 2004, at Logan and was buried in the Logan City Cemetery. Halvor Morgan died on January 29, 1997, at North Logan and was buried next to Violet in the Logan City Cemetery. He was 88. The 6th child and 5th son of Nephi and Etta May was born August 22, 1910, at Newnan. He was given the name of Lester by his father. He had the experience of being raised on the farm and learned the work that helped make it succeed. He attended elementary school in Newnan and high school at Fielding Academy in Paris. He met and married Lola Marie Patterson, the daughter of Joseph Peter and Elva Thornock Patterson in Bloomington, Idaho. Lester and Lola were married August 22, 1929 at Paris and sealed in the Salt Lake City Temple May 6, 1931. He worked with his father on the farm, and with the help of his mother, in January 1944, he purchased the Bacon Ranch at auction. He became one of the most successful farmers in Bear Lake County. Lester was one of the original directors of the Bear Lake County Wool Pool and a member of the 1958 National Wool Marketing Committee. He served as president of the Bear Lake Cooperative Creamery and for 10 years was a member of the Weber Central Dairy Board. Lester was president of the Bear Lake County Farm Bureau for 6 years and was the director of the Idaho State Farm Bureau for 2 years. He was named the 1967 Bear Lake County Grassman of the Year. He was also president of the Bear Lake Predator Association for 12 years and was its director for 15 years. Lester served as president of the Skinner Irrigation Company at Newnan for 20 years and was a trustee of the Bear Lake County Common School District No. 14. Lester and Lola had 3 daughters and 2 sons. Dorothy, 1930, Muriel, 1934, Gerald Lester, 1935 to 2016, Lynn Joe, 1940, and Diane, 1944. Lester died at age 63 years of age, May 19, 1973, at Montpelier, and was buried at Georgetown, Idaho, in the Georgetown Cemetery. Lola passed away May 22, 2002, at Montpelier, and was buried next to Lester in the Georgetown Cemetery. She was 91. Nephi and Edeme's 7th child and second daughter was born April 6, 1912, in Newnan. She was named Elda by her father. She spent her childhood on the farm and attended Newnan Elementary School. Elta started high school at Fielding Academy in Paris and finished at Weber High School in Ogden, Utah, where she lived with her sister Portia and brother-in-law, Louis Budge. She developed a talent for singing and dramatics and attended Weber State College at Ogden. She completed her degree at Utah State Agricultural College, USAC, in Logan, and became a very successful school teacher in Ogden, Utah, and Grace, Idaho. While attending college, Elda met Alvin G. Carlson of Logan, Utah, who left college to serve a 2-year mission in Germany. He returned to USAC, graduating with a Bachelor of Science degree in business, and went to work for the Utah Mortgage and Loan Company until the death of Alvin's brother Carl in June of 1935, while operating the family furniture store in Preston. Elda and Alvin were married August 5, 1935, in the Logan Temple in Logan, Utah. They moved to Preston and operated the Carlson Furniture Store. Alvin passed away unexpectedly on May 25, 1958 in Preston at 50 years of age. He was buried in the Logan City Cemetery. Elda and Al had 3 sons and 1 daughter. J. Alvin, 1938 to 2018, Luann, 1941 to 1987, Reed Carl, 1942, and James Robert, 1944 to 2011. Elda continued to operate the furniture store for many years and was active in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints as a teacher and in music. She directed the Carlson Singers in the Preston Cantata for many years. Elda was Brigham City Mother of the Year, March 1978, and runner-up for Utah Mother of the Year. Elda married Maurice Allen Bircher, 1907 to 1985, of Brigham City on January 23, 1968. She sold the furniture store and moved to Brigham City, Utah in 1969. Elda died of breast cancer in Salt Lake City on April 4, 1984. She was buried next to Alvin in the Logan City Cemetery. Nephi and Edeme's 8th child and 6th son was born in Newnan, Idaho, July 29, 1916. His father named him Ernest Morgan. He grew up on the farm and was educated in farm work and farm life. He attended the Newnan Elementary School and attended high school at Fielding Academy, at Georgetown High School, and graduated from Grace High School at Grace, Idaho. After 2 years of college at Utah State Agricultural College in Logan, he was called on a mission to the eastern states. While serving in the mission field, Earnest met a lady missionary from Mesa, Arizona, in the Sacred Grove near Palmyra, New York. Her name was Mabel Peterson. Upon Ernest's release from his mission at Salt Lake City, where he delivered a new car from Detroit for a church leader's son, he went home by way of Mesa, Arizona to visit Mabel, met her family, and secured a commitment for marriage before he returned to Newnan. She accepted, and he continued his trip home, where he finished the winter quarter at USAC.